Thank you, Tracy. Bueno, somos Education USA, como les había mencionado, y está presente acompañándonos este día Mariana Hernández de Education USA Guatemala. Yo soy Marta de Carranza de Education USA El Salvador. Y les voy a decir qué es Education USA o What is Education USA. Somos la fuente oficial de información sobre educación superior en los Estados Unidos y somos una red, ¿verdad? Estamos en 175, más de 175 países y somos alrededor de 430 centros de asesoría. Ese es nuestro sitio web oficial y lo que hacemos es dar asesoría gratuita a toda la persona o a todos los que quieran ir a estudiar a Estados Unidos, completar una carrera, estudiar inglés, comenzar su maestría, un doctorado, postdoctorado, etcétera, certificados, diplomados, como se llaman en español, etcétera. ¿Y qué tipo de actividades hacemos? Pues hacemos actividades en nuestros centros, hacemos actividades de outreach o proyección social y hacemos actividades virtuales. ¿Qué tipo de actividades hacemos? Hacemos asesorías individuales, asesorías de grupo, hacemos webinars como este, hacemos workshops, sesiones informativas con los representantes de universidades que nos visitan o virtualmente y también hacemos ferias estudiantiles. Para cualquier consulta, pues después vamos a compartir la información. Ahorita voy a pasarme al inglés. Voy a cerrar esto. Stop share. I'm going to share it. I'm going to switch into English to introduce our speaker today, Tracy Kozlowski from the University of Mississippi. Thank you, Tracy, for accepting uh, to be with us today.
Well, thank you
And I'm
so
going to pass the word to you.
thank you so much, Marta and Mariana. I really do appreciate this opportunity to tell you guys about our scholarships for the intensive English program. It is rather unusual to have scholarships for an intensive English program, so I'm going to try to explain exactly what these scholarships are, how to apply for them, how to apply for our program, and answer the questions that you have. So, if you don't mind, before we get started, if you could please type where you are joining us from in the chat area, just to, just for our interest's sake. I'd like to know where you are joining us from. And if you have any questions during this presentation, please type them into the chat area to everyone, or you could direct it to Mariana Hernandez. She can collect the questions, and we will have Q&A at the end of this session. And you can type your questions in Spanish if you need to, and we can deal with that. Okay, so I will go ahead and get started with my presentation. Allow me to share the screen.
It seems we have people from Nicaragua, Honduras, the Dominican Republic, El Salvador.
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay, so slideshow, play from start. Okay, so you see my screen now, right? Everyone can see my screen? Okay. All right, so I'm here to tell you about the scholarship opportunities at an intensive English program, specifically the intensive English program at the University of Mississippi. And that is where I work. I am the Associate Director of the Intensive English Program at the University of Mississippi, located in Oxford, Mississippi. So here are some of the points we'll cover. I'm going to talk to you about why scholarships matter. I'm sure you guys all know what a benefit it is to be able to get a scholarship. I'll tell you about the types of scholarships we have, how to be eligible for those scholarships, how to apply for them, the timeline, and I will also provide you with some contact information at the end so that you know how to reach us. And here in the picture, just before we go on, that's at one of our football games. Some of you may have seen the movie Un Sueño Imposible. That was about one of our football players at the University of Mississippi, which is also known as Ole Miss. So that kind of image might be a little bit familiar to you. And fall semester, by the way, is football season. So if you want to experience American football, fall semester is a great time to do that. Okay, so why do the scholarships matter? We know that studying in the U.S. or frankly studying in any foreign country can be financially challenging. It's difficult to come up with the finances to move all the way to another country to do your studies. So we try to support a few students every semester, and we have 3 different scholarship opportunities. Some of those scholarship opportunities, we have more than one scholarship to offer, though, so I will explain that later. Um, these scholarships that we have, they will cover some portion of the tuition and or the materials. So they don't cover everything like the living expenses, but they do cover some percentage of the tuition, for instance. These scholarships are available to new students and to returning students. But in order to apply for them, you need to be admitted for a full-time, full semester IEP program. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because we do have students who come part-time sometimes, usually when they're already in the country for some other reason. And we also have students who come for short programs. And we do not have any scholarships for the short-term programs at this time. But if you're enrolling for a full semester, we do. So before we really get into it, I want you to know what the costs are, okay? And I have it here, the little table in Spanish for you, for your convenience. So this table, the top line is what we call tuition, matrícula in Spanish. In my broken Spanish, sorry if I pronounce it wrong. But you can see that the tuition per semester is $5,300. And the scholarships we have are for the fall semester and the spring semester, otoño y primavera. Not for the summer session, but we do have a full summer session as well. Then what we have below that are different fees and estimated living expenses so that you understand exactly what you need to prepare for if you're planning to come study here. So the semester of the fall and the semester for the spring have a slightly different price. The reason for that is the insurance. The health insurance that you are required to have when you come study in the United States. Every international student is required to have insurance. It's very important because healthcare can be very expensive here. If you look at the price for the insurance, it's a little bit more expensive in the spring than it is in the fall. And the reason for that is that the spring insurance actually covers the summer. That's because most students in the United States are on vacation during the summer, but you have to continue the health insurance at that time. Anyway, it costs around $14,500 per semester. That's a 4-month semester. Once you add the tuition and all the other expenses. But only $5,300 of that is the actual tuition. So I'm going to tell you about the 3 different scholarships we have now. The first one is called the Jonatas Lima Memorial Scholarship. This is a big one. This is a big scholarship. We only offer it to 1 student a year, and we offer it for the fall semester and the spring semester, meaning for a student to go 2 semesters starting in August and go all the way through to May, and it covers 100% of the tuition. So the $5,300 for the fall and the $5,300 for the spring are covered by this scholarship, but only 1 student a year is going to get this. Okay, it's a big one and it's very competitive. So we only offer it once a year at this time. It will cover some of the fees, like the activity fees and things. So a couple more of the lines that were in that cost sheet would be covered, but not the living expenses. And like I said, you have to apply to be a full-time semester-length IEP student in order to qualify for that. And who qualifies to come into our program? Well, anyone 18 or older or who has finished high school can study in the intensive English program if English is not their native language. If you want to keep this scholarship for the second semester, you have to maintain an A average and you have to maintain your visa status. Of course, you can't be here to study without a student visa or some other visa that allows you to study. The deadline for applying for all of the fall scholarships is June 1st, which is coming up very soon. This is a month before the actual application deadline for the program, because we know that some students need to show a scholarship in their financial certification in order to meet that requirement. So we give a little bit of extra time, but June 1st, just remember that June 1st if you want to apply for the fall semester. We will cover that again a little bit later. The second scholarship we have covers 20% of the tuition for one semester. So the last one was for 2 semesters combined. So someone could study a whole year on that one. This one, you would have to apply for it every semester if you wanted to continue. So 20% of tuition is just a little bit over $1,000 that it will save you. So it's definitely worth it to apply. And every fall and every spring, we select 4 recipients for this scholarship. So there are 4 different people who will get this one. And you would have to apply every semester. So you could apply for the fall semester if you want to start studying here in August, and then you could apply again if you wanted to continue studying January through May and perhaps get the scholarship again. Usually it's pretty easy to get the scholarship again as long as you've kept up with your classes and done your work and, been a nice student. So this is open to new and continuing full-time students again. Basically the same requirements, except that we're not going to require you to keep an A average, just passing grades, okay, if you wanted to continue this scholarship. But we're not looking at your academic records from your previous institutions, okay? We're just looking at if you're continuing with the scholarship, how are you doing in the classes here? Since we have 2 intake times for the scholarship, there is a spring deadline of November 1st. That's for people wanting to start in January. And the fall semester deadline is June 1st. That's for people who want to start in August, like the upcoming semester. Okay, the third scholarship we have to offer is called the Materials Scholarship, and it is worth $250, which is approximately the cost of the books and materials that are in that cost sheet that we showed you a few moments ago. 5 people a semester will get this one. It will be applied directly towards your tuition materials balance, like your bill after you get here. It'll just be reduced from your bill. It's available every semester to full-time IEP students, and you can apply for it every semester, just like the others. And actually, it's just one application you would do for all of the scholarships. So the requirements, again, passing grades and maintaining enrollment in your visa status. It's the same deadlines as the other. Spring semester is November 1st. Fall semester is June 1st. I think we have people in the waiting room. Let me admit them real quick. There we go. Okay, so how do you get eligible for these scholarships? Well, there are a few things you would have to do in order to apply. You can apply, but if you don't complete these steps, then you will not be considered for the scholarship when the committee meets to decide who gets the scholarship. So the first thing you should do is you should apply to the program. Okay, there is an IEP application. It's online. It only takes a few minutes to complete the application, and make sure that you indicate that you want to study for a full semester. So in that application, it gives you several choices like summer 1, summer 2, fall 1, fall 2 session. These are short-term programs that are 4 weeks and 7 weeks and 8 weeks long. We don't have scholarships for those. You must select a fall semester or a spring semester if you want to be eligible for one of these scholarships, or be continuing into that semester. So it is okay to start earlier with a short-term program as long as you are continuing into the semester. You would be considered for that scholarship if you have applied. So once you've completed the IEP application and paid the fee, there's a $50 fee to apply to our program. Then you can also submit the scholarship application. And the scholarship application doesn't have a fee. It's very simple page. Here's the link to that scholarship application, which I think someone can probably put into the chat area for you. If not, we can come back to this later. And we will give you further instructions by email if you need it. So the best thing to do is, once you know you want to come study in the program for the semester, is start sending in those applications and start sending in the materials you need for that, okay? But these 3 things are we need to be able to consider you for the scholarship once that deadline comes up because after that deadline is when the committee meets. Um, so going on, I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about applying to the program, and then I'll explain to you about applying for the scholarship and what it really looks like, all the steps. So as I mentioned, we have an online application for the program. It's a pretty simple link there if you want to go take a look at it. You pay the non-refundable $50 application fee. Those two steps have to be done by the scholarship deadline for you to be eligible for the scholarships. But the other steps are that we need you to submit a financial certification form with a recent bank statement, and I will go over that in a few moments too to explain to you fully what it is. But that step is necessary for any student visa. So no matter where you're applying, if you're applying to the to any institution in the United States that in a program that's going to require you to have a student visa, you're going to have to do this step. It might have a different name, like an affidavit of financial support or something like that, but the basic idea behind it is that you have to show that you have enough funds to cover your academic and living expenses up to 1 year of your study program. And the reason that the government requires that is so they can make sure that you're not going to be homeless or starve while you're a student here, that you have the means to do that. And your Education USA advisors know all about this, and they can help you understand what those forms are as well. So definitely seek advice from your Education USA advisors about these things. The other thing we need is very simple. We need you to email us a picture of your passport photo page so we have that on record, and we can make sure that any documents we create will match your passport. If you are like, for instance, the I-20 that you need for the student visa, we'll make sure that your name matches exactly so that you don't have any problems entering the country. Number 5, the other thing that we'll get after your acceptance is that you'll get instructions on how to pay a $200 tuition deposit to confirm your attendance. This $200 deposit actually goes to the tuition, and if for some reason you get denied for your student visa, this $200 is actually refundable if you can show us your receipt and show us, the denial from the consulate or the embassy, wherever you went for your student visa appointment. But hopefully you don't get denied. I just want you to know that this part is actually refundable as long as, in the case that your visa gets denied. Okay, now on to the scholarship application. I told you there are 3 different scholarships, but we just have one application that you fill out and you get considered for all 3 of them. You would only be selected for one of the scholarships. You're not going to get more than one of these scholarships at a time, by the way. But you go to the online application, which you can access easily on our website, or you can go directly to this link. Any applications we receive between November 2nd and June 1st are going to be considered for the fall semester scholarships. Any applications we receive between June 2nd and November 1st, which is the deadline for the spring semester, those will be considered for the spring semester scholarships. Online scholarship application includes basic information and one short personal essay. So it is a very simple application that can usually be done in a few minutes. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the personal essay on another slide. But this is very important. This personal essay is the only thing that they are going to use to determine who gets what scholarship. So that is the most important part of the scholarship application. So what does it look like? Here are the 3 questions that you have to answer in your personal essay. And it needs to be in 200 words or less, so it does not need to be a very long essay. And what we are looking for is authenticity. We need it to be your voice. You need to tell us about you and how this program is possibly going to help you in whatever your pursuits or your goals are. So these are the 3 questions we want you to answer. What is your reason for wanting to attend? How can the scholarship help you? Please make sure your microphones are turned off right now. So how can the scholarship help you? And how will you use the skills that you gain in the IEP in your future pursuits? Now, this does not have to be career. It could be professional, it could be academic, it could be personal, but explain to us, what your intentions are, like what do you want to do with this? How is it going to help you? Are you trying to write a book and you want to be able to take part in the translation? We actually had someone who got the scholarship for that reason before. Um, and tell us how it's going to help you. So it should be like kind of a plan that is believable and doable, if that makes sense. We don't want just the biggest plan. Some people like write to us about how they want to save the world, but they never explain how they want to do that. That's not a particularly good essay, right? But telling us, that learning English, it helps you with a certain thing, and then you want to give back to your community and you have a plan for doing that. That's not a bad thing. But like I said, it doesn't have to be one specific thing. It's just how is it going to help you? And we're looking for it to be like real, like it is coming from you. So that's why we have these little questions at the bottom. It's kind of like a little FAQ area, FAQ, just to help you guys know what to put in the essay. Does the essay have to be written in English? Yes, it needs to be English, but we are not expecting it to be perfect English, because if it were perfect English, we don't know why you would be applying to us. So it is okay to use an online translator. I would suggest getting someone to look at it. We're not looking at grammar. As long as we can understand you and what you're trying to tell us, that is what is important. Okay? Grammar has nothing to do with the choice the committee is going to make. We do not recommend using AI to generate your response. I know there's AI out there that can help you with the translation, and that's probably okay. But if you ask AI to answer these 3 questions for you, and it's probably going to be very vague, and it's not going to sound like a real person, and you're probably decreasing your chances of getting the better scholarships. Okay. Do I need to send academic transcripts? Absolutely not. We do not require academic transcripts for any of our intensive English programs. The only time you need to send academic transcripts to our university is if you are applying for a degree program, which this is not. This is an intensive English program for language only. Now, you can use the intensive English program to go on to a degree program, but that's when you would have to send your academic records. We don't need them at all for the intensive English program. Um, Maybe we can check on the mute situation. Okay. Also, how are the scholarship recipients selected? Scholarships are awarded by the committee, like I told you, and they're strictly looking at that personal essay in order to, in order to decide who gets the scholarship.
Pues mejor, porque yo para ir a las 6, llegar pasada a las 6, no. Pero si va a ir.
So please make sure your microphone is turned off. Okay. So, when would you know? That's our next slide. Scholarship recipients will be notified after June 15th for the fall semester and after November 15th for the spring semester. That means it takes about 2 weeks for the committee to select the person or the people who receive the scholarships and notify them. So it doesn't take real long. Okay. Now, the financial certification form. I told you about that a little bit earlier. This is needed in order to get a U.S. student visa, and you or a sponsor need to show that you can cover all the academic and estimated expenses, living expenses for your program of study up to 1 year. So if you are awarded a scholarship, it is possible to include the award amount of your scholarship on the financial certification. So for instance, if you wanted to do 2 semesters here and you apply for Jonatas Lima and you get it, then that's about $11,000 worth of scholarship that can be put into the financial certification. And you need to have around $29,000 for the year to show that you can cover all the living expenses. So It's not going to cover everything in the financial certification, but it can be included. And that can be very helpful, if you are in one of the, if you're like close but not quite there when it comes to the financial certification. So that was one point I wanted to make sure I told you about. Now, the other thing I want to say about this, though, if you have the ability to show the whole financial certification before the committee meets and tells you if you got a scholarship or not, it's really a good idea to do that, because there are a lot of things that you can do earlier than this point, like finding housing and things like that take a lot of time. Sometimes in some countries you need more than 2 months to have the time to be able to get a student visa. So check on the wait time for the student visas too, because those appointments can sometimes take a long time. So if you are able to complete the financial certification without the scholarship money listed on it, then it is a good idea to go ahead and do that ahead of time. The financial certification is not you paying us money. The financial certification is you showing that you or your family or your sponsor have enough to cover your expenses. It's not money that you actually pay us at that time. The only part you pay to us beforehand is the $50 application fee and the $200 deposit. And the $200 deposit is refundable if you get denied, okay? So maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you don't want to come here for a whole semester. Maybe it's still not fitting your plans or your budget. We do have other programs available. We don't have scholarships for them, but they are shorter programs and therefore they have a lower cost. So we have several 4-week short-term study programs during the year. You could come in January, May, June, August for those 4-week sessions. We also have 7-week half semester sessions that start in March and October, and there is a full summer that goes from the end of May to the end of July. On top of that, we have some 7-day cultural tours. We have one coming up in August if you just wanted to come here for 1 week, but that would be a tourist visa, not a student visa, okay? But we do have other programs like that. So, in summary, scholarships make it a little more possible for people to get here to study, and we're happy to help any way we can. You have to apply for the program and the scholarships. They're 2 separate applications. You can't do one and not the other and expect to get a scholarship, okay? If you only apply for the scholarships but never apply for the program, they're not going to consider your application, okay? And we would love for you to join a supportive global learning community here at Ole Miss. So study English and shape your future, just as a little slogan we have at the end there. And I hope you have found the information helpful. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat area. And I have not been watching the chat area as I was doing this. So can anyone tell me if there are some questions there that have come up?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes, Tracy, we have a few.
Okay.
The
Good.
first one, it says.
Where can we start? Go ahead.
If I don't have a bank statement in my name, can I submit my husband's bank statement as my financial sponsor?
Absolutely. So the bank statement can be from you or your immediate family members. Like in a lot of cases, the students are actually getting the bank statement from their parents, and we don't consider parents or a spouse a sponsor. That's your immediate family. So it could be from immediate family members. It could even be more than one bank statement, as long as it combines to meet the amount necessary. So for instance, if you're only coming to study for 1 semester, then you only need to show the amount for 1 semester. If you're coming for 2 semesters, then you need to show 2 semesters. If you're coming for 2 years, you only have to show the first year, because you never have to show more than 1 year for the financial certification. But absolutely, a spouse's bank statement is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have this one. It says I can't apply only to summer Mm, let me
So
get
someone
another.
wants to apply only for the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can apply for the summer. You're absolutely welcome to apply for the summer. We just don't have scholarships for the summer. But the cost is less in the summer because the time is a shorter time span. So our summer program is an 8-week program, but a normal semester is 14 weeks. So you have fewer living expenses. And frankly, the living expenses are the bigger part of it anyway.
Okay. Then the next question, it says, what's the less English level that you accept? Or
Oh, you
like
can
the
apply with
lowest?
any level of English as long as you're not a native speaker. So we have complete beginners coming into our program. We have 4 different levels actually, and they basically correspond to A1, A2, B1, B2. But we're always expecting you to progress to the next CEFR level by the end of it. So when you complete the last level of our program, then you should be basically emerging as a C1 student, at which point we consider you to be ready for university academic classes. Even if that's not
Okay.
what you're trying to do. Not everyone is coming here to do academic classes, but that's what we're trying to prepare people for. So
Okay.
complete beginner is fine.
Okay, thank you. And then we have, may I apply to that scholarship at the end of this year?
Absolutely. You can we accept applications year round for the scholarships. But like I said, anything between June 2nd and November 1st will be considered for the spring semester. And anything from November 2nd to June 1st, the other half of the year, will be considered for the fall semester. Whatever the next spring or fall semester would be at the time you're applying.
Okay. The next one is in Spanish. I'm gonna try to translate it, but it says, I understand that we need an F1 visa to study for this program. And the question is if it's necessary to have another visa before applying the F1 visa.
Necessary for having another visa? I don't think
Mhm.
so. A lot of people are applying for the F1 visa, and it's the first visa they ever get to the United States, so that should be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
think that may,
I think the
sorry.
Education USA advisors are definitely helpful when it comes to the questions about applying for a visa too. You should always consult your Education USA advisors for that.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe they are thinking it's necessary to have like the tourist visa, but it's not necessary. Like if you're gonna go to study, you have to do the process for the F1 visa, and that's it. Like you don't need any previous visas to apply. So hopefully yeah, that answer your question. Then we have another one. It says, what is the lower cost? They didn't give any more details, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the costs or show us the
The
Gotcha.
slide. Well, I'm in a little bit of a conundrum right now. I think I've entered some sort of painting option here, and I can't seem to get out of it. Hold on, I'll try to.
Okay.
I want to stop sharing and then maybe start sharing again. Oh, okay. Maybe that will save me. Okay, all right. So let me try to get this going again. Uh, that was funny. I was sitting here trying to figure out where my cursor was for a little while. All right. Can you guys see my screen again?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here are the costs for the semester. Now, we do have the summer term on there as well. As you can see, the bottom line is considerably less for the summer term, but like I said, it's because it's a shorter time period. So
Mhm.
you don't have as many living expenses. The insurance is less, the living expenses are less in the summertime. And this is the 8-week program. So our 4-week programs run about $5,000, a little bit over 5,000, as an example. So I hope the information you need is on this screen. But if you have another question, just let me know.
Mhm. Thank you. There's another question. They are asking if you have virtual programs.
We do not have any virtual programs at this time. We did that a lot during the pandemic, of course, and it was very successful, but I think at some point people got tired of the virtual programs. However, we do have the ability to customize programs. So we have planned like hybrid programs in the past with some of our partner institutions. I don't know if you're asking me as an individual or if you are from an institution, but if there are enough people interested in that, we could easily design something. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay. And is there a limit to the age that I can apply? Like, do I need to be a certain age to apply to these programs?
The only requirement is that you have to be 18 or older or finish with high school. There are some instances where people finish high school before they are 18, and if you're old enough to apply to the university level because you finish high school, then that is fine. We do not have an upper age limit if that is what you're asking. Actually, we are not allowed to in the United States. That would be against the law.
Okay. Okay, then there's this one. It says first, they need to apply to an IEP program and then the scholarship, and
Um,
afterwards.
Well, I mean, technically, you could do either one of the applications first, but by the time the application deadline for the scholarship is here, which would be June 1st for the fall semester, we need to have both applications in and your IEP application fee. If we don't have the IEP application and the IEP application fee, so that you're applying to the actual program, we're not going to award the scholarship to someone who is not coming, like who has not applied to the program. Basically, is the answer to that.
Okay. And the sponsor, about the sponsor, it is mandatory and it cannot be a family member. That's their question.
You don't have to have a sponsor. We just know that some people do have sponsors. So if you have enough finances to cover these bottom line expenses for your study, then you can apply using your own bank account or your family's bank account or combination of those bank accounts. But if you need someone else, like an organization, to be your sponsor, they could sign your financial certification form to say they are your sponsor, and they can supply a letter, bank statement, or some official letter saying that they are making sure that you are meeting these expenses. But it's not required to have a sponsor.
Okay. Okay. Then there's another question that it says, does that mean that the scholarship doesn't cover the expenses for 1 year? They are not sure if they understood correctly.
So the biggest scholarship we have covers the tuition, 100% of the tuition for 2 semesters. And that would be this amount right here, the $5,300 matricula for the otoño, and then the $5,300 for the primavera. It does also apply to some of the small obligatory fees, but it's going to be around $11,000. It's not covering the living expenses. Our scholarships don't cover the living expenses because, frankly, that money is not even going to us. That's not something we can control. Like your housing department or the apartment that you're going to live in, that's where that money goes to. So we don't have the scholarships from our program to cover those things. Just some portion of the tuition.
Okay. Then there's another one about the sponsors. Do you have like a specific amount that they need to cover or?
Okay, so you see this table here. The bottom line of it is the total. I'm not sure if you can see where it says total because of the
Yes,
closed
yes, you
captioning.
can see
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the total line tells you what the actual amount is for that semester. And the fall semester is a little bit less than the spring because only because of the health insurance, which I explained a little bit earlier, because the health insurance in the spring semester is also going to cover the summer. So if you're applying for just one semester, then you need to show that $14,281. in your financial certification, because that is your tuition and all of your estimated living expenses, right? All the academic plus estimated living expenses for that time period. If you're applying for the fall plus the spring semester, then you have to combine these two. But you never have to show more than a year. So if you're planning to come for 2 years, you would only have to show 1 year worth, right?
Okay.
We have a situation very frequently. It's very typical here that a student will apply just for one semester, and then they reapply, like they want to continue into the spring semester. So basically, what's happening is they only have to show one semester at a time on their financial certification. It is possible to extend once you're here. You just have to show another financial certification for the new time. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I think I've answered that. These bottom lines are really helpful in knowing what you need for the financial certification.
Tracy, I did
Yeah.
the math, and the total cost for 2 semesters is 28,936.
Okay.
If we um discount the matricula, the tuition,
Uh-huh.
that would be $17,336
For
for
housing, for food,
for
for
housing,
insurance, for
food, and
books, yeah, for all those
all
things.
the other things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mhm.
That's for 1 year. Yeah. Now, there is a summer column in this table as well, which is why the total number in the bottom corner is more than what you just said, because you're just counting the first two columns. You're adding them up, not that third column. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah, because
see.
there's a summer session that's 8 weeks.
Uh-huh.
That is
Okay.
optional. I mean, you're not required to study during the summer. Even if you're
Mhm.
doing two full academic years, you're not actually required to study during the summer. A lot of people choose to go travel during that time, but we do have it available. And for some people,
Okay.
it works out better in their schedule to come for the summer.
Yeah, during the summer they could go visit other relatives, in the
Yeah,
States and
exactly.
practice their English.
Yeah, it's a perfect thing to do when you're studying. It's good to have a break sometimes. But summer
Mhm.
can be fun too.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I had one from a student that wants to apply to Mississippi. So I think that for this person, you're from Nicaragua, so we have an Education USA center in Nicaragua. So that the recommendation will be that you get in contact with them so you can start your process to apply to Mississippi. Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I have a couple of questions from what you have just told us.
Okay.
Can you apply to the material scholarship if you are applying to the other scholarships
Um,
at the same time?
Technically, you are applying to all three at one time anyway because it's just one application.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But you're
So
only going to get
you are
selected for
eligible
one of them.
then. You're eligible.
You're only going to get selected for one of them by the committee though.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see.
you can't,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're not going to get multiples of these. So we just have three different levels of scholarship, you might say,
Mm-hmm.
to which you could to get one of them. And for the fall semester, we actually give out 10 scholarships.
Uh-huh.
Because we have one Jonata scholarship. That's the big one that is complete tuition, like 100% tuition for 2 semesters. We
Mm-hmm.
have 4 Brenda Hale scholarships, and we have 5 material scholarships in the fall semester. In the spring, we have all of that except the Jonata scholarship because that one was already awarded in June for one whole year.
Yeah, what I was going to suggest was that if you're a professor at the university and you're interested in this program, contact your internationalization coordinator and tell them about your desire to improve your English, because I know that at least in El Salvador, universities are very interested in preparing their staff, their professors,
Mm-hmm.
not only the professors in the English language department or the TESOL careers, but the professors in other careers like IT
Mhm.
or I don't know, law or any other area. So that would be a possibility for the university to support you with the expenses for room and board and other expenses such as insurance and that and books, etc.
Yeah,
So
I can tell you for a fact that one of the recipients of our big scholarship before was a professor. One of the
uh-huh,
years. Yeah.
uh-huh,
So
yeah.
yeah, professionals are definitely welcome to apply too.
I see that Kevin Sanchez has a question. He's raised his hand. He
Ah, he
can
sure
unmute
has.
himself. Yeah. Kevin, go
Uh,
ahead.
yes, I have a question. Um, I just joined in and I wanted to know what if you're already in the States, but you're not a citizen, not a resident, can you still apply for the scholarship?
What do you mean? You're not a citizen, you're not a resident. What are you, a tourist?
I mean, I'm not under an exchange program. I'm working in the States under an H-1B visa. So I wanted to know
Mhm.
if I could apply for the scholarship.
Okay, Tracy?
Yes, but your visa status, of course, might, if you're close by, then that's not a problem. Or if your job allows you to come live here to study, then that's not a problem, I suppose. We do have people on H visas. Usually they're spouses or dependents of people who are on the H visa, but you can certainly apply. Um, just make sure you let us know that you don't need to apply for the student visa because you know, there's a different process. You don't need an I-20 document, for instance, um, if you are coming a different way. But we'd have to check on the regulations for your specific type of visa and make sure that you know, your H visa is probably dependent upon you working at the job. So if you were going to lose the job to come study, that could be a problem. But maybe there's a way to work that out as well. But yeah, you're definitely welcome to apply. We just need to make sure that your visa status is not going to be in jeopardy by it, okay? I hope I'm answering your question well.
Uh, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we have an
Mariana,
entire office, by the way, of people who work on the visas here at the university. I am not that person. I normally am handling the people who are coming here on the F1 visa to come study. So, what I would do, just so you know, Kevin, is I would connect you with those folks who know what you need for your visa type.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mariana, there are other questions in the
Okay.
chat.
In the chat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, let me see.
And I did put the contact information page on here so that you guys can see that. And in case you want to email me, my email is studyenglish@olemiss.edu. And I'm trying to see
I
the
also wrote my email address
in the chat
for
area.
everyone so they can ask
Hello,
questions.
good night, good evening.
Hi, Nelson.
Yes, nurse.
How can I help you?
¿Habla español?
Un poquito.
Disculpe, entré tarde. Sorry, I get into late. But how long is the program?
We have different lengths of program, but the scholarships are specifically for the semester programs. And a semester is about 4 months. So the fall semester goes from August to December, and then the spring semester goes from January to May. We do have shorter programs. We just don't have scholarships for them, but the cost is less because you don't have as many living expenses.
Okay, it's 1 year.
We go year round basically. But our academic year typically starts in August, goes till December with the first semester, and then January to May is the second semester, and then we also have summer classes. So if you're wanting a scholarship, you would have to do the fall semester or the spring semester. But those are 4-month programs, to answer your question.
Okay, I understand. I got your email to ask something
Oh,
more.
perfect. Perfect.
There's one question here that it says, when do they have to start the application? I guess for the one we
If you want to do this, if you want to come study this August and you want to get a scholarship for it, you need to start right away because you need to make sure you get your IEP application in, that you pay your application fee, and that you do the IEP scholarship application before June 1st, which is just a couple weeks away. Well, it's about 3 weeks, right? Almost. No, it's
Yes.
not 3 weeks. It's like 2 weeks. Time is
Uh,
fleeting.
yeah, then we have some repeat questions like if they have to pay, they sign the page of the university, um, like
If they have to,
how can I? Mhm.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. If they have to pay,
I'm not sure either. It just says maybe they
Uh,
refer to pay to
it's-
apply.
okay. So the only amount you would pay to us for a normal semester, like for the academic program, before you actually get here, would be to pay a $50 application fee and then a $200 deposit for your tuition. Everything else you pay after you get here. Everything else that was on that cost sheet. So that it will not get billed to you until you're registered for classes. You should pay it by the end of the first month of classes if you don't want any interest to accrue on your university bill, but it is possible to pay portions of it as long as you pay it before the end of the semester if you want to continue. Because if you don't pay it by the end of the semester, they won't allow you to enroll in classes the following semester. Right? So it is possible to pay in payments. Just remember that there will be some interest if you don't get it all paid by the end of the first month. But the only part you pay before you come here is $250.
Okay.
May I ask you, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon, by the way. Yes, I just have a quick question because I just heard about the program you have. It's not a scholarship, it's just like a short program, right? For a month that requires a visa, tourist visa. So, and also we can apply using the links that we have here.
Okay, I are you asking about the 7-day cultural tour?
Exactly.
Okay, so the 7-day cultural tour is just a 1 week exploration. You're going to stay in a hotel here on our campus, and every day you're going to have different activities during that week. You get to eat in the cafeterias on campus, and you will get to do some things on campus as well. But it's a different cost, and that one you do have to pay in advance to
All
get a
right.
spot in that one. Now, that's a different thing. That's a tourism thing, not an academic thing. And there are no scholarships for that one. The scholarships we're
All right.
talking about is like coming here, taking English classes 18 hours a week for a semester
All
to
right.
improve your English. That's what the scholarships are for. Um,
Awesome.
but we welcome you to join any of our programs that are of interest to you.
But okay, sorry. Yeah, that's thank you so much. But just to apply for that program, we can do it in like anytime. There's no time limit for it, or we have to, or we can do it until June the 1st, or we
Uh,
can do it anytime.
okay, so let me just clarify which program you're asking about. Are you asking about the culture tour, or are you
The
asking
culture
about
tour.
the cultural tour? You have to pay it in full by June 15th for that one.
All
And
right.
for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, if you want to email me or contact Marta, Mariana probably has the information too. We have a 7-day cultural tour available if you just want to come for a 1 week and stay in a hotel and visit some things, just for a little cultural immersion. But that's not the academic program I've been talking about for the scholarships. Okay,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I
you
just heard it. Mhm.
just
Sorry to
just
interrupt.
yeah, just to recap real quick though. June 1st you have to apply by June 1st for that one as well. June 15th is when you have to finish your payment for that one.
Awesome. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Do you have another question about it?
And just around the coast. Just curious about it.
That one
For the
is $1,350 for this 7-week tour.
1,000. Oh, okay, awesome. So yeah,
Okay.
I will. Thank you so much for that. Just that was my question. Sorry
No
for that
problem. Okay.
because I got all
Happy
of
to
them.
answer the questions. So, Jesus, I think you have your hand up.
Yeah. I am interested for my nephew in
Okay.
the English program. That's what I saw on internet on Instagram. Uh, I getting late to the conversation, but how long is that program? You have a special, I know, I don't know, status for that kind of student in United States, or
Okay, is he still in school or is he finished with high school or
he
about to
finished
finish
the
high school?
school?
He's finished with school.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm asking because we do have some summer programs for students who are still in high school, by the way, but I didn't talk about that in the presentation. Those would only be in the summertime. The scholarships that we have, Jesus, are only for our semester length programs, and the semesters run for 4 months. So our fall semester, which is the one coming up, it will be from August to December, and the application deadline for the scholarships for this fall would be June 1st. So you have to make sure you get the application in by June 1st if he's interested in studying August through December. We have
Study English, right?
this is
English.
strictly studying 18 hours a week of English classes.
And
So
how long is the program? 1 year?
well, it depends on the level. We have 4 levels for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and advanced plus. So we give a placement test when they arrive to make sure that they start in the correct level for them. Okay.
Okay.
So every semester is essentially one level as long as they progress at the expected rate. So if he comes in
Okay.
and he has like just a little bit of English, maybe he's an intermediate level. So he only
Yeah.
has 3 levels to complete to get all the way through our program. Um, but
Okay.
but if he comes in and he's quite advanced, he might only have 1 or 2 semesters to finish.
Okay.
But
And that's what the scholarships.
so the way the scholarships work, the big scholarship we have, the Jonatas Lemus scholarship, is for 2 semesters. It will cover tuition for 2 semesters. The other scholarships are only 1 semester at a time, but no matter which scholarship they get, if they get a scholarship, they can always reapply. Even if they don't get a scholarship their first time, they can reapply and to get a scholarship any subsequent semester. Like if they continue, they should apply again for the semester scholarship for that upcoming semester. It is possible to continue getting the scholarship, is what I'm telling you. It's just that
Um,
when it's
I
awarded,
understand.
yeah, it's only for 1 or 2 semesters when it's awarded.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've answered your question, so maybe we should go on to Jefferson. He has his hand
Yeah.
raised.
Uh,
Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Uh, yes, I have some questions about it. The first one is that I heard that you have no that we have to pay only $200 and or 15 and $200. This is all that we have to pay before to start the process or at the start the process to to
Okay.
be able to enter in the program.
Okay, so yes, the only part that you would pay to us for the academic programs, I'm not talking about the 7-day cultural tour now, but the
Mhm.
academic programs is you have to pay a $50 application fee to apply to the program, and that $50 is non-refundable. And then after you get your acceptance letter, you would also have to pay a $200 tuition deposit to confirm that you will attend. And if for some reason you get rejected for your student visa, that $200 deposit is refundable. So that's the $250 that you would pay before you arrive. The rest of the amount you would pay after you arrive and you begin here.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Uh,
Um,
you're very welcome.
that is for the full course for the full year.
Um, So you can choose to come here for just a semester. That's fine. You can come for one semester. You can come for 2 semesters. You can come for 2 years. You can come longer than that if you want to, but you would be done with our program probably, before that. Obviously, your English, you're not a beginner level in English if you're talking to me this well right now. So it's up to you how long you want to come here. But you would have to do your financial certification based on how long you want to come. And it is possible to extend it after you're here.
Excuse me, and the the price that you put here in the presentation, coste del estudio. This is all that the scholarships um, is given, right?
No, the scholarships are going to cover some part of the tuition, which is the matricula when you translate it. So the top line is the part that the scholarships would cover some portion of. So we have 3 different scholarships, 3 different levels of scholarship. Okay. One of them, one special scholarship for one student a year, will cover the matricula for the semestre de otoño and the semestre de primavera. So those 2 costs right there in that top line are what would be covered by that one scholarship. We have 4 Brenda Hale scholarships every semester, which cover 20% of the tuition. So it's a little bit over $1,000. And we have 5 material scholarships, which cover $250, which will completely cover this book cost that you see down here, libros, but also $50, which basically gets discounted from your tuition bill. All of these will just be in the form of a tuition discount on your bill from the university. And this is only one application you have to fill out for these 3 scholarships. So it only takes a few minutes to fill it out. And the last time I checked, it was definitely worth at least $250 for a few minutes of my time. So I think it's a good deal just to fill out this free scholarship application if you're planning to come to our program for the semester to get these scholarships. I see another hand raised.
Kevin.
Oh, Kevin has another hand raised.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem, Kevin. And then we'll come to Estella in a moment too.
Okay, I wanted to ask, like, do you guys offer like any sort of scholarships for people that are interested in getting like a master's degree in education or anything like that?
Interesting question. So obviously those are not the scholarships I'm talking about here.
Yeah, I know.
But our university does have master's and doctoral degrees. And what you would need to do in the United States if you want to study in a master's or doctoral program is ask about graduate assistantships. Okay. And I know that Education USA advisors can help you with that, but we definitely have graduate assistantships available.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Estella, you had a question.
Yes. Hi, Tracy.
Hi,
Hello.
Estella. Good to see you.
Thank you, Tracy, for sharing this information. I just have 2 questions. I know you offer the best accommodation in campus, but I wonder if students are required to stay in campus housing, or is it possible to arrange their own accommodation?
It is absolutely possible for them to arrange their own accommodations. So you notice in this cost sheet how we say opcionales for comidas also. Like, you're not required to get a meal plan here on campus, but when they decide the financial certification amount, they're going to look at what the cost would be living on campus, which is why that is the amount there. But it's an optional amount because you could be cooking your own food. You could be choosing your own apartment. I will tell you this though, Estella, if you want to come study here and you want to live in your own apartment off campus, you need to start that search very early. Okay? This is a small town and we have a lot of students and we just seem to be getting more every year. So it's very important to start early, especially if you want to live on campus. But it's also important to start early if you want to live on campus because even those spaces run out. So you need to, the best thing to do is to start early when you're applying. And this is true almost anywhere in the United States right now, by the way. This is not just a problem here. In fact, I've heard of this problem in other countries as well.
Thank you. And my second question, Tracy,
Uh-huh.
uh, can students apply for the full scholarship if they only decide to study one semester?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Okay? It is absolutely possible for them to apply for one semester, and it's the same scholarship application anyway.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
And then they might choose to stay, especially if they don't have to pay tuition for the second semester.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have anyone else raising their hand? I don't see any other hands raised. Are there questions that I don't see?
I don't, I don't
Okay.
know, Mariana. Mariana, do we have any more questions?
I see some over in the chat area.
I think
Sorry, I
those are
was
the ones you
speaking
already
to.
answered.
Yeah, I think most of the questions have been already answered. So what I was thinking is that, well, maybe if you can share with us the recording, and we'll share it with the people that register, maybe.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that once it's finalized. So I'll send that out to you, or at least I'll send it by way of Marta. Okay, Mariana,
Okay.
and she can share with you. But I put it here on the contact page so that you have our website and our university website and my email in case you want it. And there's even a map so you can see where we are in the country.
Yeah,
Can you?
and I think that it would be good if Mariana could write her email address in the chat, so for everyone,
Yes.
so in case they want to ask you questions, the people from Guatemala. And about the master's program and the PhD programs, in July, we're going to have a presentation by Dr. Dan O'Sullivan from the University of Mississippi on master's and PhD programs, and you will be invited to that for sure. You know what? Good news, because I have like 1,000 emails in my inbox asking me about the presentation because they couldn't enter. So please send us the recording so we can share this with these people, okay?
Okay, I'd be very happy to do that. Okay, everyone has the contact information already, right?
Yeah.
I could go ahead and
I,
stop sharing my screen.
I think so. Thank you very much,
Happy.
Tracy.
Thank you so much, Miss, for all the information.
You're very welcome, and I hope to see you guys all here in beautiful Oxford, Mississippi one day. And of course, I do visit from time to time. So if I'm there, I hope I get to see you in El Salvador. The day I get to visit Guatemala, also one day. I hope to see all of you one day.
Thank you,
You're
Tracy.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna finish the presentation now. If you have any questions, Tracy already shared her email where you can contact her. Voy a hablar en español porque sé que hay mucha gente aquí, veo en el chat que dicen que no hablan mucho inglés. Entonces, si tienen preguntas, tanto Mariana como yo les enviamos nuestro correo electrónico, y si quieren hacer preguntas sobre el programa, pueden enviármelas y con gusto se las responderemos junto con Tracy. ¿Tá? Gracias, muchas gracias por unirse a la presentación este día. Gracias, Tracy, Mariana, siempre es un gusto. Gracias por acompañarnos y apoyarnos, y nos veremos la próxima.
Thank you so much,
Gracias.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.